Welcome everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me. This is New Music Finds episode number 21, and it's where I like to collect together all the new purchases over the past week and then present it to you here. I get it from, of course, local record stores as well as online retailers like Amazon, eBay, and more. This past week was predominantly new releases, but of those new releases, there were also some reissues in it that I'm replacing and upgrading CDs in my existing collection. Plus, I bought one from eBay simply because it comes with a jewel case as opposed to those dreaded digipacks that we all hate. So in all, I've got 6 CDs to run through with you, but before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music. And just like this, with New Music Finds, episode number 21. And as always, we kick off with new releases. I've got 3 of them, picked them up from Amazon, and the first one up is LA Guns Cocked and Loaded Live. So this one came out on July 9th, just this past Friday. It features Phil Lewis and Tracy Guns in the lineup, so 2 original guys there. And as the title suggests, they are playing their second studio album in its entirety and featuring, of course, their biggest hit, Ballad of Jane, which went all the way to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song is said to be about 1950s and 60s movie star Jane Mansfield, which I didn't know about. I just actually read that and found that out, so kind of interesting. I'd always wondered who this Jane person was, but there you go. And the album itself was ultimately certified gold. Now, let's talk about the sound of this, because it is a live album. So I found this sound on this to be very thin in terms of the loudness on it. The vocals are right up front in it, and in particular, I have to say, and I'm a huge fan of LA Guns, Phil isn't sounding that good on this one. Everything seems sort of strained in his delivery. The drums are the next loudest thing within the guitars, and the bass buried all the way in the back of it. So just very thin, not a lot of punch, doesn't have the oomph, that normally would come from a live concert. That's just my take on this. You might feel different, but I would say if that is, concern to you, certainly give it a listen before picking it up. So there you go, cool cover on it nonetheless. And I did want to show you the inside, the booklet of this thing, because there are some cool shots of these guys performing live. No write-up or anything, but very cool shots of the guys there doing that. So next one to talk about, and this one here, I didn't think I would actually buy. A lot of you guys have been asking me about it. I did my, top albums of 2021 so far, and everybody said, hey, where is, and the release that I'm going to talk about is this one. It's the Mammoth WVH, which came out back June 11th. So it took me about a month to decide that I did want to get it. Now, of course, it features Wolfgang Van Halen, former member of Van Halen and Tremonti. So this is actually his 4th studio album so far, which I didn't realize. And then he's actually going to be featured on the new album from Clint Lowry of Seven Dust. His solo album is going to be playing drums and maybe a little bass and some other stuff. But this one here is not actually a band. He plays all of the instruments himself on it, which I found to be pretty cool. So because a lot of you guys kept asking about it, I kept seeing it ranked so high on both the Amazon, sales list and other people's top albums of 2021 so far kind of thing. I decided to go back and really give it another listen. And my opinion of it actually still remains the same as it was when I first heard tracks from it. But I've decided to accept it for what it is and listen to it for that. So my opinion of this is that it basically sounds like an alt-rock record of the 90s. It doesn't sound like what I would have expected it to sound like. And in fact, to me, it's actually got a sort of flair of the fourth Extreme album, Waiting for the Punchline. So it's sort of as though you have a band, one of the late 80s, early 90s hair band that went grunge or alternative, in terms of it still having a lot of flair and the instrumentation and all of that sort of stuff. But the vocal delivery on it is very much of the early to mid 90s alternative rock scene and so forth on it. So that's my take. I've warmed up to it. I really am listening to it mostly for the instrumentation and things on it. Very good. I totally understand why so many people are interested in this release and why it's getting promotion and all that sort of stuff, and why they've even got the opening slot on the Guns N' Roses tour, but it hasn't yet sold me on it. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to give it a lot more listens. I really dived into it. I've probably listened to it about 10 times so far, so I am warming up to it. I do like it, I do appreciate it, and I do totally respect what Wolfgang has been able to do here and the fact that he can play all these instruments himself on it. All right, and the third new release that I got was this one here, The Way of Darkness, which is a tribute to John Carpenter. Came out on June 15th. I only just found out about it, which is why I'm getting it now. So various electronic artists are paying tribute to the horror movie writer, director, composer, and icon John Carpenter, and you know him because his most famous composition is the theme song to the horror franchise Halloween. So if you know that one and that iconic piano, two-key playing bit that they do on that thing, that's him. So he not only writes movies, directs them, scores them. That's who this guy is anyways. Some amazing music that he did over the period of the late 70s, early 80s, and into the 90s and stuff. And if you're a fan of like the music and Stranger Things, that's all based on the original compositions of John Carpenter. It's new music, but based on that sort of thing to evoke that feeling of the 80s. So definitely check him out if you are a fan of the music and Stranger Things. All right, so a couple reissues came out that were also new releases. First one up being Jethro Tull A. This is the Steve Wilson remix. Did just come out this past Friday. The album itself was originally released in 1980. It's their 13th studio album, but it was intended to be frontman Ian Anderson's solo album. So when recording, the tapes were actually marked with a letter A for Anderson. That's how the album gets its title. Massive booklet in this thing. First of all, having the Steve Wilson remix to it is why I picked it up. I love the way Steve Wilson does these. He gives the instrumentation such room to breathe. You can hear things in this that you could never hear before, even in past remastered copies of this. But then they come with these massive booklets, lyrics and stuff up front there, but then 31 pages with, look how dense the text is in this here. I mean, it is literally just packed with information, story, photos, write up about, commentary on every song. So if you're on the fence about that, and or like me, you didn't want to shell out for that box set that came out a while back on this, because it was the same album plus a live album, 2 discs of a live album, and then DVDs. There really wasn't anything extra. I decided to wait for the single disc edition of this. This has those bonus cuts as well as the Steve Wilson remix, which is really the thing that I wanted out of this. I've been collecting all of those, the single disc editions. You can see Stormwatch there behind me. That's another one that is the Steve Wilson remix version. Now, another reissue that came out is this one, Jihad Jerry and the Evildoers. Now, it's actually Devo's Gerald Castle, the frontman of Devo, doing a side project under the name of Jerry Jihad and the Evildoers. They've reissued it now under his name, Gerald Castle, and so that's what brought it to my attention. Otherwise, I had no idea that this existed. Originally came out in 2006. Does feature a number of the other Devo guys guesting on it. It also features Steve Bartok from Oingo Boingo guesting on it. So it's really cool. A lot of great musicians guesting on this thing, and it totally sounds like Devo. So if you're like me, you're looking for that extra Devo album that doesn't exist, this is it right here. Jihad Jerry and the Evildoers. Really good stuff. It's got 5 bonus tracks on it too. All right, and then I picked up a replacement album, and as I mentioned at the beginning of it, I picked it up because it came in a jewel case, and I wanted to replace one of my dreaded Digipacks. So Skid Row, Subhuman Race, found out that the Canadian edition of it came in the jewel case here. So I've got the original one that came in the Digipack like this, and I know it's going to be hard to see, but it's all beat up on the corners of this thing and just kind of splitting and whatnot. And it's just not been holding up, and it's always really bugged me. I've got my nice jewel cases, and then this has been sitting next to it. So I found a jewel case edition of it, and I found there to be some differences. So I'm going to pull out the booklet and show you that first of all. And we've got, of course, the cover of The Digipack appears on the booklet that's in the Canadian edition that I'm replacing in the jewel case. But when I take the booklet out of the Digipack, it's actually got that. And this one image, which I don't know if it was an alternate album cover or what that was, doesn't exist inside here. So no big deal to me. Otherwise, it's all the same. It folds up differently than the other one, but you still get the same interior and the same as this. But this image here is this one here. So it's been replaced. So I found that to be interesting. And the other thing in the Digipack that doesn't exist in the jewel case is actually the color version of this, which is just a blow up black and white thing that's on the inside of the lyrics page. Quickly open that again, which is down here. So the image is still there, but it's just not that color one. So, you know, sometimes these Digipacks do come with something extra that the jewel cases don't, and this one certainly does. It has like 2 extra images in it that don't appear on it. But I really, really like jewel cases. I don't like the Digipacks, so there you go. I had to replace it, and ultimately those are my 6 CDs of new releases, reissues, and replacements, and that was New Music Finds episode number 21. Do check back every Wednesday for brand new episodes of this, and certainly if you're still watching and you enjoyed this video, if you would share it out on social media, help get the word out that way, I would really appreciate that. All right, take care everyone, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye-bye guys.